Would you like to come out today? Oh, yes, please, said Edward. So they lit his fire, made lots of steam, and Edward puffed away.
Henry liked being at crew, but was glad to come home. A crowd of people waited to see him arrive in his new shape. He looked so splendidly strong that they gave him 3 cheers. Beep, thank you very much. I'm sorry to say that a lot of little children are often late for school because they wait to see Henry go by. They often see him holding his breath. He does it so well that Gordon is jealous. But that's another story. Ah yes, Henry the Green Engine. Big, fast, a softie, sometimes sickly, sometimes afraid of everything, and also fat.
You're too fat, you need exercise.
Henry is the first custom I've done that's got bogies. He's also my biggest custom yet, though he's not really that big, is he? There are several things I wanted to add to my Henry model to make him look more quote-unquote realistic. For one thing, I wanted to give him his 4 front wheels. I also wanted to extend the firebox, give him a proper stanny or tender, add whatever these things on the side of the smoke box are called, and change the dome. But EdwardsDayOut, what's wrong with it? Well, you see, Henry is one of the earlier Black 5s, being rebuilt in 1935. These earlier Black 5s had the top feed, that's this bit, but no dome.
He's got no dome!
Despite the fact it really looks like the dome is just in the top feed. It's a subtle detail, but it can make all the difference. Though, if your Henry has a dome, it's not that big of a deal. Black 5 started getting domes in 1936, and it's not specifically stated what year Henry came back from crew. So... Anyway, that's enough talking. Let's just get into how I made him. First, as per usual, I took off Henry's wheels and disassembled his tender. I sanded off his dome and added the top feed, along with extending the boiler, both using milliput. I also cut and added milliput to his tender to make it look more like a stannier tender. I sanded it all down and modified the smoke box. I spray painted it all up and then started on the lining. I don't know why I did this before adding the front wheels. Anyway, I began to Dremel the front bogie so I could add some take-and-play wheels to it. I intended for the wheels to actually roll, so that they could sort of support their weight. The thing is though, because of the width of the wheels, they didn't fit on the track. So I decided to cut them thinner. I attempted to keep the majority of the wheel intact, but that didn't go very well, as you can see. I ended up using milliput to fix them. It was then a user on Discord called Jackson made me realize I could just glue the bogie down. Or I guess up in this case. Thanks for the idea, Jackson, if you're watching this. As you can see, he does in fact take turns. If you glue a bogie down yourself, I suggest using a hot glue gun to get it into position, and then properly gluing it down. Hot glue dries fast, so you don't have to worry about the bogie leaning to the left or right while the glue dries. I started on lining the cab and the firebox. It was then I had an idea. To make it seem like there was space under the boiler, I painted this block part under it black. That does mean lining it was a waste of time, but we live and learn, I suppose. I painted the running board gray and then started on the tender lining. Continuing the saga of me trying to number my engines properly, this time I painted the 3 on. It was kind of nerve-wracking, but I did it slow and it came out alright. After that, I cut out a spot in the front bogie for the wheels and attached them. Finally, I put the tender back together and he was done. This guy took way too long to make, if I'm being honest. I began making him when I started making James, as you can see in this picture. That's why Henry hasn't appeared in any of my wooden railway videos lately. Still, I think his absence was worth it. Can't rush perfection, after all. This is EdwardsDayOut, signing off.